Hello, my name is Jim Wood. I'm chairman of Wood Communications Group, a 30-year-old strategic communication firm based in Madison, Wisconsin. I serve as strategic counsel to Competitive Wisconsin, Inc., an organization founded in 1981 dedicated to developing research-based, collaboratively driven, systemic approaches to strengthening Wisconsin's state, regional, and local economies. Not surprisingly, a significant portion of our work over the past few years has focused on talent and workforce development, and we believe that our Be Bold initiatives have made important contributions to Wisconsin's understanding of specific situational workforce challenges and provided recommendations that encourage the development of a number of sound new policies and approaches to those challenges. Today we are in the midst of a broader structural analysis of the demographic phenomenon affecting the size, nature, location, and impact of Wisconsin's workforce-aged and elderly populations, and what the data means for Wisconsin's economic capacity and health. This is part 2 of a presentation we have been making to employers, educators, economic community, and workforce development professionals around the state. Part 1 is available at the link shown on your screen. It focuses on the data and trends that have led Competitive Wisconsin, Inc. to conclude that Wisconsin must make workforce education retention and recruitment an even greater and more urgent priority. This portion of the presentation details Competitive Wisconsin, Inc.'s proposal for convening a workforce recruitment, education, and retention initiative dedicated to the development of a comprehensive and strategic statewide workforce that builds on the individual, local, and regional efforts and successes Wisconsin currently enjoys, while also addressing the structural and demographic challenges that threaten our quality of life and the economic well-being of our employers, communities, and citizens. By way of example, let me share just a few slides from the first part of the presentation. One of the major structural demographic phenomena with which Wisconsin and other states are grappling is the aging of our population. Shown here between 2015 and 2035, you will note that in 2005 there were only 14 counties in which 1 in 5 residents is 65 or older. By 2035, there are only 11 counties in which 1 in 5 residents is not 65 or older. And in nearly half of all of those blue counties, at least 1 in 4 residents is 65 or older. This changing demographic is driven both by an aging population and by young people moving to more urban and suburban areas. And the changes, in turn, point to increases in the demand for health care and public services like transportation, at the same time that they suggest that it will be hard to project any increases in consumer spending and/or property taxes. Consider also the fact that at the same time Wisconsin's population is growing, its workforce is shrinking. The population is growing because people are living longer, but as you can see, while our total population grew, the number of live births per year has been declining for decades, so the number of young people entering Wisconsin's workforce has been going down. The Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development's Office of Economic Advisors flagged the shrinking workforce trend in a 2009 report in which it predicted that workforce growth would flatline in 2010, which it did, and warned that the economic impacts would be huge. Think also of what the new world of employment looks like. This chart shows the 11.6 million new jobs created since the recession by level of education required. 8.4 million required a bachelor's degree or more, 3.1 million required some college or a technical degree, and fewer than 80,000 required only a high school degree or less. All of these demographic and economic statistics are contributing to a significant and present threat to Wisconsin's well-being. As you can see, we are grappling with the divergence between our demand and need for services and workers on the one hand, and our capacity to pay for those services and provide the quality of life required to keep and attract workers on the other. More specifically, an aging population and an urbanized workforce are driving an increased demand for public services, while a shrinking workforce, rising student debt, a growing number of people living on fixed incomes, and a projected decline in per capita income are diminishing our capacity to pay for those services and potentially eroding the state's quality of life. These are challenges driven by demographic, economic, and technological changes. They are not the fault of one party or ideology over another. They simply are, and we need to begin working together to address them. Competitive Wisconsin, Inc.'s Officers and Executive Committee believe that Wisconsin needs a comprehensive economic development vision that clearly, creatively, productively, and collaboratively links Wisconsin's current and future workforce with its employers and its educational and governmental infrastructure. More specifically, we believe that Wisconsin needs to prioritize and focus on workforce recruitment, education, training, and retention. We understand that others are already working on these issues, that in recent years a great deal of progress has been made in some areas. We are committed to ensuring that our efforts are inclusive and complementary rather than duplicative or competitive, and in pursuit of that broader vision, see our efforts adding value in 4 specific areas. First, we see this as a private sector-driven initiative and believe that enhancing the creative synergies amongst the public and private sectors by involving private sector leaders in a real-time, solutions-oriented engagement with the critical workforce-driven issues that have produced a shared public-private challenge will help Wisconsin move forward. Second, we believe that we need to bring broader questions and analytical lenses to the table. The real question at hand here is how we address the demographic, geographic, and technological issues affecting the health of the state's economy. Central to that question is, at a minimum, how Wisconsin recruits the large number of new workers it will need to sustain its existing employer base, and ideally, how we expand our options by building an even broader workforce that will attract new employers and startups. The quality and cost of education is an important part of that conversation, but so too are issues related to the cost of living, taxes, workplace stability, and the general quality of life. Third, while we believe that a great deal of good work has been done in recent years by private employers, economic community and workforce development professionals, educators, and policymakers, we believe that more can and should be done in scaling up and systematizing the best practices that have been developed. And lastly, we believe that we can produce a comprehensive, strategic, collaborative, research-based vision within the next 14 months. To these ends, we are meeting with employers, educators, and economic community and workforce development professionals across Wisconsin to talk about this data and about their joining with Competitive Wisconsin to convene a private sector-driven strategic workforce initiative for the state. As currently envisioned, the initiative would have 4 contributing elements, including an executive roundtable providing top executives from many of Wisconsin's major and iconic employers an opportunity to engage, evaluate, and oversee the effort. Second, significant private sector engagement from Wisconsin's major employment clusters from around the state. Third, similar engagement from the educational, governmental, and economic community and workforce development professionals. These employers, policymakers, economic community, and workforce development professionals and experts will all have an opportunity to participate in one or more of 3 collaboration councils, one on workforce recruitment, one on workforce education and training, and one on workforce retention. A 4th collaboration council will work on translating the work of the other 3 teams into specific policy recommendations and public education and outreach. Each of these councils will have a dedicated staff member to manage coordination, logistics, and production issues. The recruitment, education, and retention councils will each have a research budget to support its work, and all council meetings will be facilitated. With staff and a dedicated research budget, the recruitment, education, and retention collaboration councils will be asked to define and frame their issues, develop their methodology, retain professional research counsel, undertake the required research, analyze the results, share the results and solicit input, develop preliminary recommendations, share the preliminary recommendations and solicit input, and assist in the development of final recommendations. Our preliminary timeline for this initiative is to continue to engage private and public sector leaders in the effort between January and February and then forward, to complete collaboration council organization, define objectives, and commission research between February and April, to develop preliminary proposals and identify additional research needs between April and June, to complete Phase 2 research and begin to finalize and estimate the cost of recommendations between July and September, and to finalize findings and recommendations between October and December, and then finally to be ready to report out in early 2018. We are in the process now of talking with major Wisconsin employers about joining the Executive Roundtable in support of this effort to accelerate and enhance Wisconsin's ability to recruit, educate, and retain the workforce it needs. Our request for engagement and support includes the following items: authorization to identify their company and a member of their senior management team as a member of the Competitive Wisconsin, Inc. Recruit, Education, Retain Workforce Executive Roundtable. A request that they attend as many as possible of the 4 half-day roundtable meetings that will be scheduled over the course of the next 14 months. A willingness to consider identifying personnel in their company who would bring experience and insights to the work being done by one or more of the designated collaborative councils. And a willingness to entertain a request for financial support for the initiative. A note here, contributions are not required in order to participate on the Executive Roundtable, but we would certainly appreciate it. We are also in the process of briefing and engaging private sector employers, educators, and economic community and workforce development professionals in this effort. In terms of private sector partnership, our goal is to engage at least one representative from each of the major employment clusters in each of the state's 9 economic development regions. To that end, we are holding briefing sessions in each of the 9 regions. The first 2 sessions were held in the Several Rivers Alliance region and the Momentum West region. Momentum West briefing, for example, was hosted by Momentum West, UW Stout, and Competitive Wisconsin on September 14th in Menominee. 51 people registered and 46 people actually showed up. As you can see from this table, participation from all of the public and private sectors was strong, and we received good feedback on the briefing itself. Equally important, as a part of the meeting, we asked our attendees to fill out a sheet like this, identifying employers they would recommend we encourage to join the initiative from their area. I would point out that none of the companies identified at the meeting had been contacted or offered support of any kind at that point in time. We believe, however, that this local informed opinion provided by our briefing attendees is essential, and lists like these from every economic development region will serve as the map for our ongoing engagement efforts in the weeks and months ahead. When talking with private sector employers, the requests for engagement and support will include authorization to identify their company or association and a member of their senior management as a member of the Competitive Wisconsin, Inc. Recruit, Educate, and Retain Workforce Private Sector employers. A request that you attend as many as possible of the 6 half-day collaboration council meetings that will be scheduled over the course of the next 14 months. A willingness to consider identifying personnel in your company or association who would bring experience and insights to the work being done by one or more of the designated collaborative councils, and a willingness to entertain a request for financial support for the initiative. Once again, financial contributions are not required for participation, but they are certainly appreciated. I would close by telling you that similar briefing meetings are now being scheduled in the New North region and the Madison Regional Economic Partnership regions. Discussions are also underway to schedule meetings in the Synergy region, the M7 region, and elsewhere. We view this as an important exercise, and we hope that you will join us. If you have any questions or need assistance, please contact Kristen Dahlhoff at kdahlhoff@wcgpr.com. Thank you very much.